past year has been a whirlwind for everyone. Every day seems to be the same thing over and over again. I'm so lucky to have a good family life and be financially okay, and sometimes it's easy to forget about the struggles faced by other people and to just focus on your own. This pandemic has had absolutely crushing impacts on millions of people socially and economically in this country alone. But things like social media have brought everyone much closer and made these things more apparent in our daily lives. I could go on about the negatives of social media, but to be honest, I probably wouldn't have got through this pandemic as okay as I did without it. It helped me stay connected to my friends. It made me feel much less alone because I knew there were other people out there that were experiencing the same things that I was. Probably the biggest thing that has directly affected me during the past year has been education. This feeling of being less alone with the likes of social media has been crucial during online schooling. You're alone at a desk all day, attending these lessons with no one around. It's completely different to how we are all used to learning and has had tremendous impacts on our motivation and work ethic. Without going to classrooms and being in a work environment, it's been so easy to forget what we're working towards, and so many students have just completely lost their motivation to work. Having to wait for emails back from teachers and Google Classroom notifications is in no way, shape or form a sufficient alternative for having your teacher right there to get direct help from. All colleges and departments are trying to make this transition to online learning as smooth as they can for us, but the levels of ease really differ between your own subject, different departments, different teachers, down to even different colleges and sixth forms. As we saw with the exam situation last year, those who are already at disadvantages socially and economically were being targeted the worst, and this applies to all aspects of teaching during this pandemic. I'm extremely lucky to go to the college that I do because they have all the facilities I could need at home accessible to me and the capabilities to ensure that all students have access to a high standard. But it's not the same for everyone, and this pandemic is just exacerbating the disparities between all of us. Experiencing the events that have taken place in the past just over a year at such an impressionable age is something that will for sure impact us in the future. I mean, we've been through a pandemic, threat of World War III, a pivotal presidential election, climate change disasters, and an attempted coup in the last year. The division seen in America and felt here in the UK has been an astounding thing to witness as all of us get to the age of understanding these things for the first time. Trump's administration has been incredibly divisive within America, and it's something that's going to have lasting effects on us and won't just be solved come January 20th. Growing up from the age of 13 to 17 with Donald Trump as the most powerful man in the world has been scary. To watch someone explicitly lie over and over again, and to see people accept this and believe this, is truly astounding and frankly worrying. The storm of the Capitol on January 6th really highlighted the racism embedded in the heart of America. It's scary to even think what would have happened if any other ethnic minority tried to do what those terrorists did. Black Lives Matter has been here for so long already, and just because it's not May 2020 doesn't mean it's over and it's finished. The Black Lives Matter movements of 2020 are just the tip of the iceberg of what still needs to be done to fix racial equality across the world. It has sparked important conversations not just at a global level but at a personal one too, as I know that I, along with millions of other people around the world, have been having these conversations with our friends and family. At least for me, the Black Lives Matter movements of 2020 have exponentially increased my mindfulness and have truly opened my eyes to what kind of a Western world we live in. Western society is supposed to be the epitome of human civilization, but what is too easily forgotten is the people who the foundations of this society lies on, and how the descendants of these people are still not living in it equally and equitably. If the developed world still hasn't got this right, what hope is there for the rest of the world? In the UK, we've seen so much division on whether our government is doing a good job or not, or if a different government would have done a better job. Supporters of different parties have just been constantly pointing fingers at each other, highlighting the faults of a different party. There is so much division in our world today. And of all the times to be divided, during a pandemic, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, we even see division down to things like vaccine distribution, which is going to the richest and most developed countries first. After all this, I would have thought our world would have come out more united. Yeah, it sounds very naive and wishful, but we pride ourselves on our ever interconnected and globalized world. So wouldn't a time when we're all locked inside and have a common immediate goal give us an opportunity to improve this globalization socially and not just focusing on it at an economic and political scale? I guess not. And it's something that's been incredibly disheartening to see. Each new generation has something new to give and to offer, and it's usually along the lines of make this world better than it was before. With the imminent threat of climate change and the increasing risks of nuclear war, it was already taking so much to stay hopeful, and living through this pandemic has not made this any easier. Seeing my age group dominating social media though has. When I first started using social media some 5 years ago, it was mainly dominated by millennials, who are a generation above me, and I could never really relate to them, really. They all had jobs, they were all doing adult things, and I was 12 years old. But people my age have just completely been dominating it, especially on apps such as YouTube and TikTok. And the global conversation between so many of us shows that we're all feeling the same way, the same lack of hope. But we are feeling it together, and that's what gives me reassurance for facing problems in the future. Personally, this year has been one of immense personal development. You know, I went into this as a 16-year-old, and now I'm just a couple months away from turning 18. The biggest thing that it's done for me is made me really realise what I value in life, and that is my family. There are countless kids who have immensely struggled with being stuck inside their family during all of these lockdowns, and this has just made me appreciate the people I have around me even more. Through countless debates and conversations I've had with family and friends, I have learned to become more confident in my opinions and my ideas, as this time of so much division has required me to stay true to what I believe in. This has even filtered into my videos, where I've had the confidence to talk about issues and topics that I feel really passionate about, and I've been able to share these conversations with so many people. I've also understood the immense privilege I have, not just economic and socially, but even down to things like living in a happy and stable home, having access to the Wi-Fi, and even though our country hasn't always been sunshine and roses this year, I'm so fortunate to live in a country where my experience of this pandemic has been a lot easier than if I was living somewhere else in the world. We can all talk about how we want this year to be better than the last, but if we don't take the time to reflect and actually take action on things, we can't expect everything to magically get better. Going into making this video, I didn't really have a sole purpose. I guess I wanted to share my point of view with people, or make something that I could come back to in years to come. But I just want us to recognise where we've been going wrong so that we can try and fix things. And I know millions of people aren't going to watch this video, but one thing I've learned this year is that the tiniest things make the biggest difference. I have changed so much over the last year, and I know so many of you can relate to that change in some capacity. Even if you can't relate to the change, I know you can relate in some way to this video because we kind of all went through it together. Anyway, I hope that whatever it may be, you will take away something from this video. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Mwah.